we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Last week we have already talked about the knowledge of arising and apparition in my previous Dhamma talk. So today I also have to review previous Dhamma talk. In our previous Dhamma talk, we have already said the impurity of insight knowledges. So if we can overcome all these 10 impurity of insight knowledges, then we have mature insight knowledge. In this part, we studied Patipadananadassanavisuddhi, the purifications of practice, knowledge, and vision. So, now we have to elaborate this purification. In reality, this knowledge is the higher knowledges. So that means when we have this purification, we have very high insight knowledge. When we encounter many impurity or imperfection, that is called the tender knowledge. They're not that much mature yet. But here in this stage, the knowledge of arising and apparition become very powerful and also become mature. So this purification also covers many different steps of higher knowledges. The first one is the mature knowledge of arising and apparition. That is after overcoming all the imperfections or impurity, as I have mentioned in my previous Dhamma talk. After that, we also have other higher knowledges. The knowledge of dissolution. Today, I'm going to explain this part. Then we also have the knowledge of appearance, Tara, the knowledge of danger, the knowledge of disenchantment, the knowledge of desire of deliverance, the knowledge of reflection, the knowledge of equanimity towards formations, and the knowledge of conformity. All these insight knowledge are called higher knowledges. Then the Patipadananadassanavisuddhi, the purifications of the practice, knowledge, and vision, covers all these insight knowledges. So after that, we have only one more steps to attain path and fruition knowledge. That is very close to the path and fruition knowledge. So today, we have to talk about the knowledge of dissolution. So as we have already learned the knowledge of contemplation, anicca, dukkha, and anatta, here in this part also we have to contemplate different types of ultimate reality as anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So the discerning the arising and aberration of mentality and materiality. As we have explained before, this is a very brief method. Then we also have discerning the arising of mentalities and materiality. Discerning the aberration of mentality and materiality. Then we also have discerning the aberration of the five aggregates and discerning aberration, the dependent origination fetters. So here I have to explain different practice, different steps. In the very beginning of Vipassana, we have to discern all types of materiality and mentality. After that, we also have to discern cause and effect relationship, what we call dependent origination. Now, when we are going to contemplate all these ultimate reality as impermanent, suffering, and non-self, then we may have different parts. First, we have to discern only materiality or only mentality. Now we also have to know and see the arising and aberration of ultimate reality. Then again, we also have to discern the causes. That means we have to discern all the ultimate reality together with their causes. And also we have to contemplate them as impermanent, suffering, and non-self in many different ways. So now here in this knowledge, the knowledge of dissolution, we must know and see the momentary arising and aberration of ultimate reality in the very beginning. For example, rupa. We will start with only materiality. In the very beginning, we have to know ultimate materiality, momentary arising and aberration. After that, we have to contemplate that as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Then later, when we can discern very well, the arising state and aberration state become very rapid. Now we cannot know the arising state. We just know the aberration state. At the time, just try to know the aberration state. Don't think about arising state anymore. Keep discerning or contemplating impermanent, suffering, non-self. This is the very beginning, Namarupa. After that, we can also do Namarupa, the five aggregate method. So every single aggregate, for example, material aggregate, just pay attention to only aberration state and contemplate that as impermanent, suffering, non-self. After that, feeling aggregate, just pay attention to aberration state, then contemplate them as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Similarly, perception aggregate, formation aggregate, consciousness aggregate. So after discerning all these things, when we are going to practice dependent origination, here we don't recommend the meditator to practice cause and effect relationship because it's only person state. That is why we just recommend them to practice only dependent origination factors as impermanent, suffering, non-self, one by one. For example, I say, like in ignorance, avijja. Discerning ignorance, then just try to see the aberration state and contemplate as impermanent, suffering, non-self. This is the way we have to practice a dependent origination in the knowledge of dissolution. Then it will be many other ways to explain it. In this stage, we have some other statements that we can find in the text. When our inside knowledge becomes very mature, the upada, the arising state, and we also have titi, the standing state or the status stage. Then we also have nimitta, such as the sign, such as like rupa kalapas or comparateness. Then finally, pavata, the cause arising. So our knowledge becomes very, very strong and powerful. That is why we may not see any of these four. That means at the stage, we cannot see the kalapas, but we can only know the ultimate reality. Now we cannot know any comparateness. We can break down all kinds of comparateness at the stage. Of course, in the mentality, we cannot see any shape or any form or any kalapas. In the materiality, there's a kalapas. In the kalapas, there is the characteristics of ultimate reality. So not only that, we cannot know the cause and arises of ultimate reality because it's very rapid operation. That our mind will not pay attention to any of these. Here we mentioned without paying attention to any of these four, the inside knowledge cannot know them. That's what we call, this is the power of the knowledge of dissolution. Now we also have many different types of contemplation. Altogether we have 7 types of contemplation. So when we are going to contemplate ultimate reality as anicca, dukkha or anatta, we are very familiar with these 3. Sometimes we are familiar with asubha, anicca, impermanence, dukkha, suffering, anatta, non-self, and asubha, repulsive or repulsiveness. So we are very familiar with these 4 types of contemplation in the very beginning. We also have to practice in the very beginning of insight knowledge. Gradually, when our insight knowledge becomes very strong and powerful, now we have the 7 contemplation. They are very easy in the very beginning of contemplation. Anicca, Nupasana, the contemplations of impermanence, and everybody has known this contemplation because anicca is very popular everywhere. Many of Buddhists had already known these contemplation. Now we have dukkha nupasana, the contemplations of suffering. This is also very common. We all have known that. The next one, Anatta Nupasana, the contemplations of non-self. So these three are very common. Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. We all have known that whenever we are going to practice Vipassana, we must contemplate all types of Nama-rupas as Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. Then we also have another types of insight knowledge, Nibbida, Nupassana, the contemplation of disenchantment. So we also have to know it. So later I have to elaborate all these things, because we can also find, I also have to give another source from another suttas. Actually, the one is a very popular suttas. Then we have Viraga Nupassana, the contemplations of fading away. Now we have the next one, Nirodha Nupassana, the contemplations of cessation. And finally, Patipadananadassanavisuddhi Nupassana, the contemplations of relinquishments. And these are called 7 types of contemplations, or 7 contemplations. So we all have no Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta. What about remaining 4? Where can we find all these sources? All the Buddhist people have no anapanasati. So we have to continue talking about Anapanasati Sutta. So today we have to introduce Anapanasati Sutta. So in this sutta, we have many different steps. Altogether, we have 4 sets. The first 4 is samatha, or maybe sambhara vipassana. For example, like a long breath, we call jigama, asasando, and so forth. You can go and check in the suttas. And we also have rasa, short breaths. This is in samatha practice. Whenever we are going to practice this method, we must not make the breath short or long purposely. It must be natural. If we have long breath naturally, try to know it. If we have short breath naturally, we must try to know it. So this is the way we have to practice in the samatha part. Then I think almost all of you have known the next one, Sabakaya Parisamvidi, experiencing whole breath body. This one is also very simple. We must know breathing in breath from the very beginning to the end, from the touching points. It doesn't mean we must follow all over the body. There's some misinterpretation. We have to focus the breath everywhere, but not like this. We must know the breathing on the touching points, from the very beginning to the end. Not only that, we also have the last part, Vasambayam Kaya Sankara, tranquilizing the breath body. And gradually our breath will become subtler and subtler. When it becomes very subtle, finally, at the stage of 4th jhana, it will disappear. And the main thing is, we must know the breathing naturally in every single steps. In the very beginning, it will be long, gradually it will become short, Then we can also know whole breath body from time to time. After that, the breath will become very calm and quiet, also very tranquil, very subtle. Now we can know the breath normally and naturally. This is samatha part. So in reality, when we can know the nimitta, or when we can focus on the nimitta, we don't know the breathing anymore. We just know the nimitta. So in brief, these 4 steps is called samatha practice up to jhana. Not only that, in the stage of tranquilizing the breath body, it also covers vipassana practice. So that means after attaining jhana, we can enter into jhana, emerging from jhana attainment, and discern all the jhana mentalities and materialities, discern cause effect relationship, and contemplate that as anicca, dukkha, anatta, and so forth. This is the very beginning of anapanasati. Now we have the next part. Piti, patisamvedi, experiencing rapture. So when we talk about experiencing rapture, we also have to talk about jhanas again. Now we also have to know in which jhana or which jhana associate with rapture. How many jhanas associate with rapture? So we have the first jhana and the second jhana. If we talk about 4 jhana, right? The first jhana and the second jhana will associate with rapture. Then we must enter into the first jhana, emerging from it, discern first jhana mentalities and also materiality and their causes. After that, contemplate them as anicca, dukkha, anatta. It will be considered as piti, patisamvedi. Then we also have second jhana. In the second jhana also, rapture can rise. Then we must enter into the second jhana, emerging from it. Then discern jhana dhamma, ultimate mentalities and materialities, together with their causes. We can also contemplate as anicca, dukkha, anatta. Here only one thing different. That is emphasizing the rapture. That means we can emphasize focusing on rapture, then we can contemplate them as anicca, dukkha. Although we talk about rapture, we must know all the associated mentalities. Then contemplate them as anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is called experiencing rapture, in Pali, piti, patisamvedi. Then sukha, patisamvedi, experiencing the bliss. So we have to note again how many jhanas associate with bliss or sukha. So there are 3 jhanas that associate with bliss or sukha. The first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana, and the 4th jhana. Entering into one of these jhanas and emerging from it, discern ultimate materialities and mentalities. After that, emphasizing the bliss, we can contemplate them as impermanent, suffering, and non-self. It is called sukha patisamvedi, experiencing bliss. Then we have the third practice, Citta Sankhara Patisamvedi. So here we talk about experiencing mental formation. Citta means mind or consciousness. Sankhara means formation. Patisamvedi means experiencing. So experiencing mental formation. So here we have to think about Citta Sankhara. Actually, it is all other ultimate materialities. For example, like here, we have already talked about rapture and bliss. There are other mental formation, such as feeling and perception. So feeling and perceptions were associated with all types of jhana. So this Citta Sankhara Patisamvedi covers all types of jhana. So they can enter into the first jhana, the second jhana, the third jhana, the fourth jhana. After emerging from it, then we can discern ultimate materialities and mentality and their causes. After that, emphasizing perceptions or feeling, or emphasizing both of them, contemplate all the formations as impermanent, suffering, and non-self. This is the call, Citta Sankhara Patisamvedi, experiencing mental formation. And the last one among the four in the second group is Pasambhaya Citta Sankhara. This is tranquilizing the mental formation. So how to tranquilize? What does it mean tranquilizing? Actually, in reality, when we have attained higher jhana, our mental formations become subtle, more subtle. That's why it's called tranquilizing. For example, compared to the first jhana, then second jhana will be more subtle. Similarly, compared to second jhana, that jhana will be more subtle. Similarly, third jhana and fourth jhana. So that means we must enter into higher and higher jhanas. As we have explained, Sankhara means perceptions and feeling. We can also emphasize discerning in very tranquil or very subtle feeling and perception. Then contemplate them as anicca, dukkha, anatta. This is called Pasambhaya Citta Sankhara, tranquilizing mental formation. So this one is also called Vedana. If we talk about 4 Satipatthana, the first part is Kayanupassana Satipatthana. And here I list out Tika, Rasa, that means long, short. Then Sabakaya Patisamvedi, experiencing the whole breath body. Pasambhaya Kaya Sankhara, tranquilizing the breath body. This is the first part. We call Kayanupassana Satipatthana, body contemplation. The second part, Patipadananadassanavisuddhi, experiencing rapture. Sukha Patisamvedi, experiencing bliss. Citta Sankhara Patisamvedi, experiencing mental formation. Then finally, Pasambayan Chitta Sankharam, tranquilizing mental formation. These four are called feeling contemplation. Now we have the next group. It is Chitta Patipadananadassanavisuddhi, experiencing the mind. So what does it mean, the mind? Yes, we have consciousness in every mind moment. Similarly, when we can enter into jhana attainment, every jhana attainment, then in every single mind moment, there will be jhana consciousness when we enter into jhana. So first we must enter into jhana, emerging from any jhana. Then we have to discern jhana mentalities and materialities and their causes. After that, emphasizing the mind, and then we must contemplate all the mentalities and materialities as impermanent, suffering, and non-self. This is called experiencing the mind. We call Chitta Patipadananadassanavisuddhi. Here we also have to say some elaborate. We have to talk about some elaboration. Patipadananadassanavisuddhi. I mean, we must penetratively know, or we must know it very much in detail, or we must know thoroughly. In other words, we can also talk about mindfulness and clear comprehension. So that means when we can enter into jhana, we are mindful. Then when we are going to practice samatha or vipassana, we also have clear comprehension. Everywhere. We can know the breathing, we can know the nimitta, we can also know namarupas, clear comprehension. Then we can also practice vipassana better and better. The clearer we can know ultimate reality, the stronger our inside knowledge. I have said, when we talk about dissolution, the knowledge of dissolution, we cannot know the rupa kalapas, we cannot see the rupa kalapas, but we can know the ultimate reality, pure ultimate reality. So that means we have clear comprehension here. Then again, we also have Apipamodayam Chitta. In Pali, Api means superior. Pamoda means happy or rejoice or glad. Then Chitta, mind. So gladdening the mind. So what does it mean, gladden the mind? So we have to make our mind happy. We have to gladden our mind. So when we study the developing rapture, right? In the very beginning, we also have already talked about rapture, experiencing the rapture. We also explained how many jhanas can associate with the rapture. Similarly now, when we are going to gladden our minds, we must have rapture. In Pali, we call piti. That is why entering into the first jhana and the second jhana, this is called gladdening the mind. Gladdening the mind. Emphasizing rapture. We can also know all other mentalities and materialities. Then contemplate all the formations as impermanent, suffering, and non-self. That is called Abhimodayan Citta. Then we have very, very popular Pali word, Samadhan Citta, concentrating the mind. So many people also ask, where can we find the momentary concentration? So when you go in and read the commentary to Visuddhimagga commentary, or Purification15 commentary, or Samanappasatika commentary, you can find the definitions of these Pali. So there the Buddha mentioned, there the commentator mentioned. Samadhan Citta means the momentary concentration. So that means we also have to know what's it really called momentary concentration. First, we must enter into any of jhana. Imagine from jhana, when we are going to contemplate ultimate mentalities and mentality of jhana and dhamma, and when we are contemplating ultimate materialities as impermanent, suffering, non-self, at the time the momentary concentration arises. It was mentioned like that. So that means after emerging from jhanas, we can contemplate jhana, nama, and rupas as anicca, dukkha, anatta. We may have momentary concentration. So here we have to know how to practice vipassana according to this statement. On every single jhanas, we have one-pointedness. Samadhi means samadhi. We also say concentration. So that means we must enter into any jhanas and emerging from it, emphasizing one-pointedness. Then we must contemplate the mental formations in the jhanas as impermanent, suffering, and non-self. That's the call, Samadhan Citta. Then again, we also have the last one in this group, Vimodayan Citta, liberating the mind. What does it mean? The liberating. So in every single attainment, our minds liberates from something. Our mind is liberated from something. For example, when we can attain the first jhana, our mind is liberated from 5 hindrances. So the mind will be free from hindrances. This is also liberated mind. So the main thing is, we must emphasize focusing on the mind that's liberated from hindrances. Then again, in the second jhana, I think everybody knows the one. In the second jhana, the jhana is liberated from inertia application and sustain application, vitaka vichara. These 2 jhana factors are very gross. So I'm willing to use the first jhana. Now that means I'm willing to have this kind of gross jhana factors, willing to attain the second jhana. If we can continue practicing, we can attain the second jhana. Now what about the third jhana? The third jhana is free from the rupture. That means the third jhana is liberated from rupture. So the fourth jhana is liberated from bliss. So we can easily know what's it really called? Liberated mind. As we have explained before, imagine from any of four jhanas, then discern all types of ultimate realities and their causes. When we can contemplate all the mental formations as impermanent, suffering, and non-self, and besides focusing on the consciousness, then this is practicing vimochi and citta. So in brief, these four are also called citta nupassana, mind contemplation, among the four satipatthana, the four foundations of mindfulness. Now we have the last part in the Anapanasati Suttas, Anicca Nupasi. I have already talked about it. Everybody know that one. Contemplation of impermanence. Now we have Viraga Nupasi. I have explained in the very beginning 7 contemplation. Among the 7 contemplation, this one is one of contemplation, Viraga Nupasi. So what about anicca? It's very simple. We must know rising and perishing of any of jhana dhammas. Then we can also contemplate them as anicca dukkha anatta. Here in this part, we can also know only perishing states, because we are talking about the knowledge of dissolution. So we just pay attention to only perishing states or passing away. Just trying to contemplate them as anicca, anicca, anicca. This is called anicca nupasi. Then for about viraga nupasi, we also say fading away. So what does it mean fading away? We have 2 different types of fading away. The first one is momentary distractions of formation. This is also called fading away. Momentarily means in every single mind moment, there is a perishing state. This is called momentary distractions of formation. In Pali, we call upada nirodha. Upada viraga. Here we can also use like this. Then we also have absolute fading away. What does it mean? That means if we say momentary distractions, after fading away, it will arise, it will fade away, it will arise, it will fade away. This is called momentary distractions of formation. Then absolute fading away means nibbana. After perishing, no more arising. This is called absolute fading away. So that means when we are going to practice vipassana, especially here when we talk about bhaya-jnana, perishing states, especially when we talk about cause-effect relationship, even last Dhamma I had to explain that one. So I have, in previous Dhamma I talk about cause-effect relationship. There are 25 different contemplations, different discernments in the rising states, 25 different discernments in the perishing states. There also we have momentary rising, momentary perishing, and absolute perishing. So that means when we can attain Nibbana, we also have to know absolute fading away here. So that means we must try to know these two types of fading away in our practice. Then again we have Nirodha Nupasi, contemplation of cessation. This one is cessation. Only the words slightly different. It also similar to previous one, fading away. This one is only cessation. Here also we have momentary cessation or formation. Then we can contemplate as anicca dukkha anatta in the vipassana. When we can attain nibbana, it will be absolute cessation. No more rising, totally cessation. We must try to know it in our practice when we are going to do anapanasati. Then we have the last one. Here we can Patipadananadassanavisuddhi, Nupasi. So everybody know Patipadananadassanavisuddhi, relinquishments. So here, what does it mean, relinquishment? Relinquish means giving up. So that means what we can give up when our inside knowledge becomes very powerful. Okay, here we can easily know. For example, when the perceptions of impermanence become very powerful, we can relinquish conceit. We can also say we can suspend conceit. Because these two are opposites. When we know the impermanence, we cannot be proud of our ability or our conditions. So in modern community, many of practitioners will talk about anicca dukkha anatta, but they are also very proud. This is something wrong. When we can know impermanence, real impermanence, then we cannot be proud of ourselves too much. Then similarly, when the perceptions of suffering become very powerful, we can relinquish, or we can give up, we can suspend the attachment. So if we know everything is suffering, we may not have attachment to it. So the next one is the perceptions of non-self. When we have very strong and powerful perceptions of non-self, we can relinquish wrong view. That means we can give up the defilements. Okay, here in brief, when we can practice vipassana systematically, when our inside knowledge becomes very mature and powerful, our perceptions of impermanent, suffering, non-self become very strong and powerful. Finally, we can relinquish defilements. So this is called Patipadananadassanavisuddhi Nupasi. That means we must make our inside knowledge become stronger. So that means our mind will incline to Nibbana after relinquishing. Right? So that means when we can contemplate the relinquishments as enter into Nibbana, because of vipassana knowledge, because of vipassana knowledge inclined to inclined towards Nibbana. So that means the one inside knowledge is very, very mature. So, in brief, as I have explained, 7 contemplation. Now here I have to repeat Anapanasati Suttas. There also we can study similar contemplation. Among the 7 contemplation, we have Anicca Nupasi, impermanence, Dukkha Nupasi, suffering, Anatta Nupasi, non-self. Then we also have Viragga Nupasi, contemplations of fading away, Nirodha Nupasi, the contemplations of cessation, and Parinasaka Nupasi, the contemplations of relinquishment. The same things can be found in Anapanasati Sutta. So, today we have already talked about the knowledge of dissolution, very beginning part of Patipadananadassanavisuddhi, the purifications of practice, knowledge, and vision. As a conclusion, we have very many methods to practice in this stage. 5 Gate methods, 12 base methods, 80 elements methods. Also, we also have like a Patipadanana, later I have to explain. There are many other methods remaining. So when we can practice systematically, our inside knowledge will become mature, and finally we can also attain Nibbana. May you all be able to practice the Buddha's teaching, and may you all be able to realize the final cessations and the suffering. Sādhu, Sādhu, Sādhu.
Sādhu. Yeah, first question. Just how Sādhu mentioned, Vimochaya Cittang. Is Vimochaya Cittang, is it similar to is Upekkha Citta? This is his question.
Actually, it would be different. Here, I have already talked about Vimochaya Citta. Vimochaya Citta means, for example, first jhana is free from, free from hindrances, right? This is only the Citta. Upekkha is different. Upekkha means equanimity. When we talk about feeling, Upekkha feeling means neither happiness nor unhappiness. This is called Upekkha. But in the first jhana, we don't have Upekkha. Right? We don't have that kind of Upekkha. We have happiness. Similarly, in the second jhana, third jhana, we have happiness. Because I say bliss. That's why it's not Upekkha. Okay?
Sādhu, is that if a bhikkhu already break the first four grave offenses after asking for after confession, would he be able to attain jhana or maggaphala in this life?
So that means parajika, this is not for confession, just disturb or live as a samnera or lay person, right? So if they can use it as a lay person or samnera, sure, they can attain maggaphala or jhana.
Sādhu, if the bhikkhu has already committed parajika after disrobe, can he ordain again or become a bhikkhu?
Actually, if he has already committed parajika, he is not allowed to reordain. Right? Even in the Sima hall, after ordination, we remind that one. Okay?
Can he become a samanera? Just now the question.
Sure. He can continue as a samanera or lay person is okay.
Yeah, just now Sādhu's talks about the four groups of 4 methods. Are they the 16 ways in the Anapanasati Sutta, and it,
Sure.
which comprises of the four Satipatthana way.
Sure. Yeah, I forgot to explain the last one, right? The last one is the Dhammanupassana Satipatthana.
Vandami Sādhu, how we can contemplate the breath of other people means outside our body. Sādhu. Thanks a lot, Sādhu.
Actually, okay, here we have some statements. Actually, when you read Satipatthana Sutta, every end of chapter, the word I mentioned, thus you can contemplate the body in the body internally, externally, both internally, externally, and so forth. So that one does not means we have to do in samatha. Only in vipassana we can do it. But in reality, we must know the dhammas and rupas externally. It doesn't mean we have to read other people's minds. Right? We just know only general, ultimate reality externally. So that means we cannot read other people's mind. We cannot focus other people's breaths. Okay?
Vandami Sādhu, from Sotapatti until Arahata, their practice, are they continuously, repeatedly practice vipassana only for Sotapatti until Arahata?
Sure. So only they can do only vipassana. Sure. From Sotapanna to Arhat.
Vandami Sādhu, I wanted to ask about the Pasambhayam Chitta Sankharam stage. Since you mentioned that this one is for the higher jhana, does it mean that it would exclude the Upachara Samadhi and the first jhana, or? No?
Okay, so you mean Pasambhayam Chitta Sankharam or Pasambhayam Sankharam?
Pasambhayam Chitta Sankharam.
Chitta Sankharam. So when we talk about, okay, I have to check Pasambhayam Chitta Sankharam. Right? This is the fourth group, right? The third group, sorry. The third group, right? In the third group.
Second group, Sādhu.
Second group. Second group.
I think so.
Okay, sure. Second group. Pasambhayam Chitta Sankharam. Okay. Pasambhayam, the tranquilizing, right? Tranquilizing mental formation. That one, right? Okay, so in this case, in the we can just mention 4 jhanas. Okay, we can also say the asset concentration, because in every single jhana there's asset concentration. So that's why when we talk about the asset concentration, it will be 5 jhana factors, right? So we can also say, sure, all the asset concentrations and all the absorption concentration. We can also contemplate as anicca dukkha anatta, sure. Okay.
There is one Dhammapadagata, Sabbe Dhamma Anattati Idapanyaya Pasati Atha Nibbindati Dukkhe Esamago Visidhiya. So then this one is saying Sabbe Dhamma Anatta. Would Nibbana and Magga and Phala also be anatta then?
Sure. It does not belong to you, sure. You must leave behind when you pass away.
Okay.
Okay. They are not dukkha, right? Okay.
But the Magga and Phala, this one will arise and perish. It is not anicca?
Okay. So that means we cannot contemplate that as anicca dukkha anatta. This is not the object of vipassana. Magga phala, right? Nibbana also the same. Right? That's why we don't say anicca dukkha or anatta. Okay? But here we just talk about sabbe dhamma anatta. Okay, this is special statement. Okay?
Okay. So Nibbana is anatta, but we don't contemplate as anatta.
Sure.
Okay. Timar.
Okay, the next one.
7 stages of purification. And
Okay.
Anapanasati Sutta teach 16 stages of Anapana for Therapy. So if we completed all these 16 stages, can we fulfill the 7 stages of purification purely by Anapana?
Sure, sure. If we can do all these stages, we can fulfill all the 7 stages of purification. Sure.
Thank you, Sādhu. Sādhu.
Okay.
Vandami Bande. If the access conscience for the pure vipassana, Suddha vipassana, if the access concentration is very high, so is it the? I remember you said this is near to the first jhana. Is that right?
So, what's the question?
So this question is that this access concentration, is it similar as a strong momentary concentration?
Actually, okay, asset concentrations and momentary concentrations are 2 different parts. Asset concentration is only in samatha, right? The momentary concentration, when we are, for example, like asset concentration, after attaining asset concentration, then you may start practicing rupa meditation. As soon as you start discerning ultimate realities, at the time momentary concentration will arise. It's the very beginning of vipassana, right? So that means we have 2 different parts. Momentary concentration can apply only in vipassana. It cannot apply in samatha. Okay?
Oh, Sādhu, yes, one more question. Since the Kanika Samadhi, this one, so in the other samapatti, like a jhana or magga phala, we have a gocharu jnana, but the for the Kanika Samadhi, we will not see any special moment where it turns into Kanika, right? Is it?
No.
Oh, so we can only generally understand.
Sure, sure. Kanika Samadhi means when we start discerning ultimate realities, then we have to know momentary rising and perishing, right? We have to know momentary rising and perishing. At the time, there will be Kanika Samadhi, momentary concentration.
Tema Sādhu.
Okay?
Okay.
Etta vata cha amehi sambadam punya sambadam sabbe deva numodantu sabbe buddha numodantu sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampati siddhiya idam me nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyateyo idam me nyatinam hotu Sukhita hondu nyadeyo idam me nyatinam hotu Sukhita hondu nyadeyo idam me punyam asawekaya waham hotu idam me punyam nibbanasa pateyo hotu mama punya bhagam sabba satanam bhajemi te sabbe me samam Punya bhagam labantu. Sādhu, Sādhu, Sādhu.